Hi, this is the final session of Surviving Workplace Harassment. If you've hung in there and you've been listening to all 6 sessions, I really appreciate you dealing with my my subpar presentation and PowerPoint skills. But I'm hoping that I've shared some strategies with you and some thoughts that'll help you through a really difficult time when you're being harassed at work. And chances are it's your boss who's harassing you. So at this point, we've talked about, what do you need to do with your boss? What do you need to do with human resources? Most importantly, what do you need to do with yourself to take care of yourself? So what are the next steps as you're dealing with this? And the situation is different for everybody. I do keep referring to Tim, who is somebody who I mentored for years and still a good friend, work associate with. And he went through for years harassment from his boss and actually from the company. So he finally got to the point as well. Okay, I've done all this stuff. I'm fighting it year after year. Now what do I do? And it was torturous. So don't forget who you are. Don't lose yourself. It's very easy in the thick of it because it is personal. It is your work. You're spending at least 8 hours a day in the office. And it's very easy when someone's criticizing you or coming after you and lying to take it personally and stoop to their level. Don't do that. Don't ever compromise on your own principles, on your own beliefs. Stay on that high road. Keep to who you are, because that's you, the person, is something you never want to lose, and your job isn't worth it. So these bullies, as I've said before, are going to manipulate you, and it's all about control. So they're going to lie to you. They're going to lie to others about you. Everything that they say to you and to others is going to be to control you. And they're going to diminish how you feel about yourself, and they're going to diminish your contribution. And I'm here to tell you, you are valuable and you do add value. You can't be all things to everybody. Everyone's always going to have a different opinion of you. Even when you're not being harassed, someone's going to think you're great, and someone's going to think, that you're not my cup of tea. You're not doing the job as I would expect it. But there are going to be people that think that's the way we need it. I've gone on interviews and I've had people say, he's too much of an organization guy. He's not technical enough. And there's truth to it all. So just take everything you're hearing with a big grain of salt and understand that you are valuable and you are adding value. Look in the mirror and tell yourself that. Hopefully when you're looking in the mirror, you smile a bit. Don't ever lose that. Don't ever lose that ability to smile and laugh and have fun. So while you're being harassed, one of the ways that people will diminish your value is to set you up and put you in a position. Maybe it's not giving you enough resources, as we talked about, or putting you in a new role that you haven't been trained for, and you're going to goof. They're gonna say, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, and you're not sure how to do it. So you take a stab at it and you goof, and you make a mistake. You're allowed to make a mistake. As a matter of fact, when I'm doing performance reviews for people, if they didn't goof during the year or that period, I'm thinking you didn't try hard enough. You're not trying to learn. We need you to goof a little bit. Now, I'm not talking about making mistakes that are recurring. I'm not talking about making mistakes that you're not learning from. But I am talking about taking a little bit of risk and making mistakes. So when your bully is coming after you saying, you goofed here, you made a mistake, it's okay to push back and say, listen, you didn't give me training. You put me in a position where I needed XYZ people or resources, and you didn't give that to me. So I took a stab at it because you wanted me to. So this is the reason why I made a mistake, but I learned from it. They're not going to pat you on the back for it, but you need to to say that for yourself and to yourself. So really, what do you do next? It's up to you. You have to decide what you want to do. You've been employing all these strategies. You've been hopefully taking care of yourself and developing yourself throughout. You've been dealing with HR in the process. What do you want to do? Write down the pros and cons, if if that would help, of staying in your job. You know, what are the things I'm getting out of employment? And a paycheck is a good thing, but it's not the end all. It's not the thing that should keep you chained to a job. It may keep you there for a while, but am I getting what I need? Am I getting development? Am I actually growing? Or do I see it on the horizon? So you need to decide for yourself, and it's your decision. Does this make sense? And I think one of the things is, how does your job and your employer make you feel? Now, Tim, as I've said repeatedly, was getting harassed for years, not only by the CIO who he worked for, but by the human resources department. So it was a corporate thing. So at the end of the day, after he went through all this and he fought, and he was very proud of himself, that both the technology that he implemented, the teams he built, in spite of being harassed at every step of the way. And the CIO was trying to set him up for failure. And HR was certainly helping the CIO and trying to make him feel horrible. At the end of the day, after he succeeded by his own guidelines, not by his bosses, by his own guidelines, he succeeded, kind of looked in the mirror and said, how do I feel about this? I certainly don't like the CIO. The CIO is not going anywhere, and there's really no place for me to go within the organization. So I'm kind of, if I'm staying here, I'm stuck. But more to it, the company he was working for, he really came to the realization was, it's not the kind of company he wanted to be associated with. So he made a decision to leave at the end of the day. Based on that, he didn't want to be associated with that. So there's also a hard truth to face. No matter how hard you fight, no matter how good of a job you do, no matter how much you believe in and how much you actually succeed in and you give to the company, if for whatever reason it's not a good fit, and it could be not a good fit just because you think differently than the leadership within the company, or it could be that they're not great people and they want to push you out for whatever reason. They're going to be able to do whatever they want. They're going to be able to either pigeonhole you, in which case you're going to be kind of stuck for years, or they're going to be able to fire you. There's no argument that you're going to have that's going to change that. You also are never going to change their mind. So if you're working for a boss that's bullying you, there's no argument that you're going to win. There's no light bulb that you're going to put off on over his or her head that's going to make them realize the right path to go down. So just understand that hard truth, that if it's something that you realize that your boss or the employer itself doesn't want you to be part of, you're not going to be part of it. But we all don't fit in everywhere, and there is a place for us everywhere. Yeah, there is a place for us somewhere. It may be different for each of us, and it is, but you'll find a place that you can be happy. Tim, now, he's lucky. He stayed pretty current in his career, and actually the CIO was bouncing him around, throwing challenges at him, actually did him a favor, kept him very current on technology and trends while he was trying to set him up to fail. So he was able to find a job, and he was pretty marketable. As I'm recording this, it is a tough market out there, and I realize that. And there's a reality here. We have bills to pay. We have children to feed. And we may need to stick around this job and do our best to do the right thing to get that paycheck. But what I'm telling you is, if at the end of the day you can't get to a good place with where you're working, you need to make it another job for yourself to find another position. And you need to carve out that time to work on it. You can't wallow in a place that you realize that you're kind of trapped in. It's your life. You really need to determine how you want to live it. It is very much up to you. As I said before, don't lose sight of your family. Don't lose sight of your friends. You don't want to lose friends over this because you're miserable. You definitely don't want to lose a spouse or make your children unhappy because of what's going on and the harassment that you're getting at work. So that's really the point of everything I've been talking about. So I do want to wrap this up with some resources for you. There's a plethora of resources out there that you can go to. These are just some I want to highlight. I'll put them in the comment section. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is a place you can go to, especially if there's something illegal going on. The first two resources are if something illegal is happening, if you're being discriminated against, or there's some sort of unfair practice that's infringing upon your employment, you want to look at the EEOC. That's when you're going to engage with a lawyer as well. Every state has a Department of Labor as well as the U.S. government. So you want to look at the DOL website as well. There are times that when you're being harassed, if you're hourly, they may play with your hours and not pay you. The Department of Labor will take a look at that, and you could file a claim there. So that's something you definitely want to look at. Another place, I was a little bit shocked by this, that I found that had a ton of information on workplace bullying and harassment and strategies on how to deal with it, is the link. It'll be in the comments. It's from Nassau Community College, and they did a great job, I think, in laying it out. So you could take a look at that. Project When is a great resource. They're really fighting workplace harassment, and they'll have strategies and places to go to. So if you're going through this, I would really recommend you take a look at especially these last two links. And finally, I do wish you well. It is a horrible thing to go through. Everybody goes through it to some degree, but if you're really being harassed, like Tim, it's a torturous experience, and it is stress. It's traumatic. So I do wish you well. I hope you take care of yourself. If for any reason I could be of help, if you want to bounce something off of me, I leave my email address here. It'll be in the comments as well. I'm not selling anything. I'm not making any money off of this. Just wanted to lay that out there. I'd be happy to help though if you have a question or if there's something I can do. If you just need someone to go back and forth with. So I wish you well. I hope that you're happy first and foremost, and I hope that you have a good career moving forward.